Hello and welcome to this playback, which will focus on the new error handling framework for the Hyperledger Fabric project. The goal of this framework is to provide a uniform way to define and create error messages in your source code and have the ability to append a stack trace to aid in problem determination. So the project itself is defined under fabric/core/errors, and the package consists of two primary files and one test case file. The errors.go file handles the implementation details of the framework, but for this playback I'll be focusing on the errors.json.go file, which is the file that allows you to define your error message and easily reference it from your source code to use this new framework. So here I have errors.json.go open, and here at the top you'll see a number of different constants. So we already have a few of the components defined, and for anyone that's utilizing this for the first time, they'll want to define a new constant for their component, as well as reason codes, which is just used kind of to map to the specific message within your component. So for this example, I'll be using the peer component, and I'm expecting to get a peer connection error message because I will not have my peer up and running. And so we'll go down to the bottom of the file, which includes the error mapping JSON formatted string here. And so for this, what you'll do is you'll make sure your component code and reason codes here match the constants above that we have defined. And then you'll define your new error message. We'll start with English, and in the future, the framework also has the ability, if other language translations are defined, it can use those. So for this one, I'd expect to see the error trying to connect to local peer, and then this %s is, as you would expect, just like the printf function, and it allows you to pass in different parameters to your error messages. So anything that works with printf for formatting those will work here with your error message. So now I'll go into an easy and simple example of using this. So for this, what I'll do is show you a function that some of my logging command line calls use to get a connection to a running peer. And so for this case, here I'll go ahead and comment out the new code and show you just the example of what the code looked like before, which was the following. It would use the FMT's errorf function to define the message, whereas now what we'll do is use the new error framework. So what I did is I took the message that we had here, and you want to just take the first part of it and not include any of the parameters. I took that, and that's what I used to create my message here in the errors.json file. So now what I can do is I'll comment out the old code, and I'll put in a new definition for the error which uses our framework. And so with this, we'll create an error with a call stack here at line 47. And so into this, you pass your component code and your reason code, and then any parameters that you have. If your message is not set up to use any parameters, then you would just finish your statement here as you would with a printf function. And then we'll return that new error message, or the new error object actually. And then what I have, if you're wondering about the details, is I just have my logging CLI. See, it tries to get a connection. This will return our new error message, and then what I'm going to have it do is just print out that error message. So for default behavior here, I'll bring up the command line and show you that. So if I just try to do a quick peer logging git level, and we'll look at the log level for the peer module. So if I run this, it'll go out, and then we'll see at the bottom here our error message. Error trying to connect to local peer, and then this gRPC timed out when dialing part, which is the parameter that was passed in. So that part, everything functions just as you're used to. However, with the new framework, now we want to say, hey, but what if I need to really know exactly where that was coming from in the code? What you would do is you can go to core.yaml in this case, and we'll change our, so this is under the logging section of core.yaml, we'll change this error parameter to debug. And so when this is set to debug, and we make any call that displays the error message, it will now automatically append the stack trace. And here I'll go ahead and widen this out. So now I'll try the same exact call. It'll try to connect to the peer, then it can't. And so now we can see here our error message, which looks exactly the same as before, but then it also includes our stack trace so that anyone after the fact can easily trace back to which exact lines of the code were running that resulted in this error message. So that about does it for the basic use of the error handling framework. There's also a wiki article on the error handling framework, which I will provide a link to in the description for this video. And I guess with that, I'll end it here. Thanks for your time.